I'm Alan Doderlein with the Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance. We're going to talk about depression and young adults, and joining me for that conversation are Molly and Kyle. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
What did depression feel like to you?
Just wanting to be alone, but at the same time fearing that aloneness, fearing that there's something wrong with you because you want to spend all this time away from other people, but it's so comfortable. Just
like Molly said, like just being sad and alone and just not being interested in like the things that would get you excited and be like where it was cooking for me or watching my nephews and my niece. That's when I knew something was wrong, when those weren't, I wasn't happy doing those anymore. It's just like feeling like you're alone.
What was the reaction of people when you would tell them, you know, that you experienced depression? Molly, let's start with you.
I've always been open about having depression with my friends, but what I portrayed outwardly was a lot different than how I felt on the inside. So for them, me saying, you know, by the way, you know, I have depression. Some days are really, really hard for me. I think almost they kind of shrugged it off because they weren't seeing it. So it was hard for them to understand.
What about for you, Kyle, the transition from school into the workplace and being a young adult?
That was a hard thing for me, like applying for jobs out of school, and just even when I would, like I got hired for a job once and like 3 days later just anxiety and depression kicked in. I had to tell them I couldn't handle the job and I couldn't work.
Wow, wow. And how did that make you feel? The high of, oh, I got a job, that's great, and then I can't do it. What was that?
Yeah, it was a confusing feeling because the time you should be excited and happy, I was like down and depressed and just so anxious and depressed about cooking at a restaurant that which is what I like to do, which is cook. And I couldn't do it because I was just too anxious and didn't want to get out of bed or all that kind of stuff like that. It just makes you feel like kind of worthless.
What is the process of disclosing that you have a diagnosis of depression?
I'm incredibly open because I've been burned by friends in the past. So I just sort of put it out there really early into friendships because my feeling is you should know this up front about me, because if you can't handle it, there's the door. As far as work, it has come up. You know, I've been out of college for, almost 2 years, working for about 1.5 years. And there are times where I've had to say to my boss, I need to take a day or two off to kind of take care of myself mentally. I need to focus on my mental health right now. And I have found my employers to be incredibly open and understanding about it. So for me, at least, I'm from the get-go open about my depression because I don't think it's anything to be ashamed of, and I don't think that I need to hide it.
Just like how Molly was saying, like how you feel alone, like even in a group of people, you feel totally alone and you don't feel like yourself while you're depressed because you have to like put on a face and fake that you're feeling happy. Because when you're depressed, you're unconfident and you don't really want to talk about how you're feeling. Like when you go out, you want to look like you're having fun and like you're normal. And even hiding it makes you feel even worse about yourself because you can't be yourself.
You feel very inauthentic when you go home at the end of the night.
Sure. What worked? What things helped you stay well?
Once you accept that this is who you are and you stop being ashamed and embarrassed or hoping it's going to go away and say, this is it, let's learn to live. So, but by forcing acceptance, it forced me to really look at what behaviors I was doing that was contributing to my depression.
Well, I feel what helped me the most, was a combination of like this therapy, my medication, and support groups. And just like get over depression is volunteering, which helps me help people out and feel better about myself. And also like I've stopped drinking. Alcohol use has really helped my mood, and finding the right therapist is probably the biggest key to it, is just having someone who will not just talk to you and listen to your problems, but will challenge you and help you learn the tools you need to be better. Because now I'm not miserable, really. I have bad times, but compared to what I was before, it's way better. It does get better, you just gotta work at it.
the deep feelings in the pit of your stomach that you think are shameful, that you think are embarrassing. They're not. They're normal, they're real, they're valid, and you don't need to be ashamed of them, but you do need to talk about them. Because it's by letting them air and letting them out that you're going to find peace and relief.
I thank you so much, Molly and Kyle, for sharing your stories and helping others understand what depression for young people can be. Thank you.
No problem.
You're welcome.